welcome to episode 2 of Chapter 2 of the Northeast Project Podcast. My name is Kieran and I'm joined here by Ben. How you doing, Ben, tonight?
Hi, Kieran. Yeah, I'm not too bad myself. After a tough day of training, obviously I'll probably tell you about it, but I didn't get off the best starts this afternoon. But yeah, feeling good. How are you?
Yeah, just in from a tough day, aren't we? So we're recording this at 10:15 at night after working for 14 hours. We're a bit tired, aren't we, Ben?
Bit of an understatement, yeah. But
yeah. See how our brains worked tonight. But we've got lots to talk on from 2 key events. A lot going on in the future, a lot going on in our training, a lot going on in the sport regionally and nationally. Lots to look forward to on this podcast. And we've got a good training topic about breakthroughs and dealing with the ups and downs and how to spot breakthroughs and all about the training, the progression of training, really. So lots to look forward to.
Yeah, 100% looking forward to delving into it. And obviously, there's a lot happened over the last month and especially in the last week. So it's nice to sort of reflect on that and have a chat about what's happened and reflect on that.
Yeah, so let's start with your training. It's over 10 days at Castle Howard. How's your preparation going for that?
Yeah, well, obviously, as I said in the previous podcast, it's not the ideal setup that I would have liked to have. Obviously, only a 4-week period since I've probably been running from injury. Obviously, running the Hoggers now. So, but yeah, I'm starting to get the transition in a little bit better. And in terms of training for each discipline, that's going quite well. Managed to get my bike sessions and swimming sessions. I'm starting to do a bit more in the lakes now, so not just swimming in the pool. So getting that real life transition, which is I think it's quite important to be able to do it in real life conditions and environments. So yeah, 10 days to go. I've got no idea how it'll go. But as I said in the previous podcast, like this sort of end of the year is just a bit of an experiment for me. Just have a try around different areas, different events, and see what I regularly before I decide what to focus on in the next few years. So I'm looking forward to it. Obviously the bike is the weakest discipline for myself, but the swimming run should be strong, and hopefully I can finish quite high up in the rankings.
Have you got a good bike?
It's my dad's bike, but that's one of the purchases I do need to make. Also a wetsuit as well. So there's a few other things that I do need to make before next Saturday.
You've been a cheapskate.
I'm being a cheapskate. I just haven't had time to buy a bike yet, but yeah, I don't really want to splash out on like say £680 bike and then actually come out of it and realize that maybe it's not for me. So I'm being sensible with it. But yeah, I've just bought myself a smart trainer at home, so I'm able to do bike sessions in the conservatory, which is going well in the morning and finding myself a lot stronger, especially posterior chain wise and in my quads, from doing the bike sessions and sort of mixing that with the swimming and running. So yeah, I'm slowly building up. Bit of a benchmark for me this triathlon, and then we'll work into Liverpool half marathon and some of the events we've got coming up in the next few months.
You feel the same a lot there. I suppose one of the drawbacks of triathlon is the cost of it and not just the events but the equipment. And it's quite a big investment, isn't it, when you're going after a triathlon and trying to make it. So I see your point about not investing, of course, and obviously it's your first one, so you're just trying it out. If you win it, then you can maybe buy a bike and a nice wetsuit.
The thing is, if I buy a bike, I'll use it for future things, and I'm a massive believer in cross train. Obviously, I haven't reacted well in the past to building up a massive mile, so if I can get minutes cardiovascularly and building aerobic a base on different platforms, whether it be on the bike or swimming or rowing, then I think that suits me quite well. I'm quite a good swimmer anyway, so that suits me well. So yeah, I can use it to my advantage whether I'm doing triathlon or not. How's your prep going, Kieran? Because obviously you've got York 10 miler next Tuesday, which is another big opportunity building from Croft, which is the last official race you did.
Yeah, cheers for mentioning that, Ben. Yeah.
We all have those races, don't we? We all have those races.
Okay, leave it there. The last 4 weeks have been really good. Definitely a change in psychology. I think our last podcast was 2 weeks ago after our holiday. Not quite sure that we've feeling refreshed still after that holiday because it's been quite an intense 2 weeks, but training's been good. Ran my first 100-mile week last week after probably 3 months, and then added it again this week. And I put back-to-back 100-mile weeks again. 17:03, so 3 months to Manchester Marathon. Obviously targeting York 10 mile next Tuesday night. So yeah, this week's a hard training week. I'm not really sort of going into York thinking it's a peak race. Every race up into Manchester is just a stepping stone, really. Nothing matters more than that. I cancelled my Great North Run place, not because of the course or anything. Looks quite a good race, but just because it's another taper week, I don't want one. I'd rather have another big week and a big marathon workout in there to keep on the progression to Manchester, because I feel like I need every day, really. If I lose a day in the block, then I cancel my marathon. I think if I lose a
that's
bit of connection loss there.
Sorry, I do apologize. Yeah, I'll book a little bit there. Yeah, but it's interesting what you're saying there, and obviously about over racing and making sure you're getting the right races and the right time gaps to build up to your Manchester Marathon. I think there's not many 10 miles out there, and that's a great opportunity to sort of test yourself, whether you take that as a tempo run or you maybe run it at a marathon pace or you race it either or.
Yeah, I've got to apologise to Caroline Teasdale. I am really sorry, but I have given in, and I've got some carbon Adidas shoes for York 10 mile, so I will try them out.
I'll send some tissues up to your house.
But if I feel like I've broke the law and lost all my morals by wearing them, I will chuck them in the bin. I do promise.
I'll say it's your first time wearing them, and a lot of athletes similar in your position will be wearing those shoes.
Yeah. So I'm sticking to Adidas. I mean, I've always worn Adidas for the last 10 years, so I'm not going to change. I like the shoe. So yeah, it looks like a good shoe. Adidas Pro 2s. I've seen a few elites wear them, so obviously they must do the job. So yeah, looking forward to trying them out. Come tomorrow, looking forward to having a go with them. But yeah, it's another big week ahead. Another big week ahead. And yeah, I'm really focused. It's nice to be enjoying training and training hard. I think I'm getting over that illness period and that sort of I don't know, been in a bit of a burnout hole. So which we'll talk about in later in the podcast about breakthroughs and sort of ups and downs of training cycles. But I feel like I'm definitely out of that. And it's a nice feeling to be enjoying the training again.
I know it's very early days, but I want to ask you a question, obviously, about your previous marathon in terms of training for that. Because I think that was really important for that sort of training period in that marathon to be able to lead up to Manchester. Because I think especially if Manchester was your first one, that would have been quite a struggle. So what do you feel like is maybe different this time? Do you feel anything different? I know it's very early days.
You asked us 2 weeks ago, didn't you? But I think much has changed since I said that. Then I think I won't get a marathon right until another 3 or 4. In that rubbish comment from certain individuals that you only have so many marathons in, I think it's a lot of crap. So yeah, I'm 22 and yeah, I've ran 3 marathons already in training and a 20 mile fast. So yeah, I feel like I've got another 15 years left of marathon running if I do it right. So I'm just going to learn from each one. Kipchoge is running his best at 36. So yeah, I've got ages left. So it's all about enjoying the experience. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy plenty of marathons in Europe and possibly in America. Hopefully make a nice big competition somewhere. Commonwealths or Europeans or something like that would be fantastic, wouldn't it, to be able to achieve something like that?
Yeah, you couldn't
enjoy it.
You couldn't have answered that any better.
If you don't enjoy it, then what's the point of doing it? You got to enjoy the track session. You got to enjoy the horrible, hard sessions in the rain. It's what it's all about. You got to enjoy running.
Yeah, it's about the journey.
Yeah, exactly. So let's have a recap on what's been going on the last 2 weeks. So we haven't mentioned, so that we came back from holiday, did a podcast on all things that are coming up. So we did the NEP training weekend in the Lake District over at Ullswater and Penrith 2 weekends ago. That was fantastic. A very tiring weekend with a lot of activity in there. So this was our first training weekend away. We've done workshops before. Quite a new thing, the workshop idea when we brought that out. So we've expanded on that. We did a 2-day training weekend. What was your thoughts on the event? Do you think it was successful?
Yeah, I thought it was successful. It was good, and it was nice to get out in different locations that obviously stuck in the same locations for the majority of the weeks in around the northeast area. So it was nice to get out into the lakes and sort of explore a little bit. And it was a good opportunity for some people who maybe stuck in a bit of a rut for the training and maybe a bit unmotivated to get out on the trails and explore something different and just escape a little bit. So it was really nice, and obviously we went to different parts of the lake as well. So obviously on the Saturday morning we were at Air Force Waterfall, which was gorgeous. And we took some photos of the waterfalls, and we did the run around the lakes there on the Eels Waterway. Obviously doing the double run on the night, watching England play on the night as well, which is nice. And then waking up on the morning to do a long run around Penrith and sort of explore that area around the trails at the top. And then finishing off with the Helvellyn walk, which was an absolute beast, especially the weather turned to the worst at the top. So that was a massive challenge. I think that sort of 40-hour period was really challenging for a lot of athletes, but a lot of people took it up. So fair play to them, because that was a lot of miles, a lot of minutes.
Yeah. I think it's something that hasn't been done enough. I think obviously some clubs have done it, and I know there's a lot of just sort of GB training programs that take people away. But yeah, there's not much for sort of the whole running community to get involved in on a training weekend and training with people intensely over the weekend, socially as well. That can be good and bad. You know, mixing social and training, as we talked about before. But yeah, I think it's a good chance for people to get away and know each other and see all the variety of training within one weekend. Obviously, it can be used as a good springboard in the future events. So as a training block, I think in the future we will try and position any training weekends around in the lead into a major event. We are going to plan something before the marathons. So in between Great North and a lot of people, the London and the Manchester and all that stuff, we are going to position something in there that is going to be a springboard for that as well. So we'll repeat that. But yeah, I thought it was successful. I enjoyed it. It was nice to build on the workshop idea. And yeah, I love the lakes. Ullswater Way on Saturday was fantastic. I absolutely love that route.
Yeah.
Helvellyn was great.
But I think for a lot of athletes, and obviously it's a lot of intensity over a weekend. And I think you learn quite a lot about yourself, especially when you put yourself under a lot of pressure. And a lot of intensity, especially over a 40-hour period. You learn a lot about yourself, and that's really good because you don't quite get that during a normal training week. Obviously, you got the same structure week on week, but when you go out and you challenge yourself over a whole weekend into different avenues that you've never done before, you do learn a lot about yourself, which you can take into future events and future training. So I think that's really important to that.
Absolutely. That's your experience, as you've said. So that was that weekend. Then we went back into heavy coaching week. And we arrived at the build-up to the NEP Festival of Athletics, which we did on Saturday night at Middlesbrough Sports Village. This was our first official track event that we've done, really our first official licensed race. So this is quite a big step in our careers and event organisers. And we appreciate all the support and putting that together. It seemed like everyone had a fantastic night. And the majority did run very successful times on the night on the track. Wasn't it, bad?
Yeah, it was a great night, and obviously it was our first, as you say, first official licensed event. So it was a great learning curve for us and a great process to go through that and get all the official licensing documents and all the official setup for that. So that's something that we've certainly learned about, and it was a great experience with the 5Ks and the miles. It's really nice to around the track because I think there's no hiding on the track, and it's quite bold and dominant. And a lot of people maybe miss that sharpness, especially in NEP, who maybe haven't experienced it before. So yeah, it was a great experience for us to be able to do our first license event, great atmosphere, and overall a great night, everyone.
Yeah, maybe being too kind on the atmosphere part. We had a lot of restrictions against us. We couldn't play music, and we couldn't quite do our normal NEP vibe. But people still thought it was successful. But from our part, I felt quite frustrated. I'm not the sport to its fullest, but there's a lot of work to be done in, I think, changing attitudes towards the sport and development. That we really need to work on, because it wasn't. I thought it was probably a 60% event from our part, from what we've done previously.
Yeah, obviously we've got a different angle and we look at it differently because our sort of Northeast Project events at Square Skirt and stuff are really electric, really bold, and we go for the heavy music and create that atmosphere and adrenaline, which we obviously couldn't quite replicate at the sports village due to restrictions, but something that we definitely will put in the future. So that's what we're about, isn't it? It's about creating the high end atmosphere with plenty of music and overall creating a great experience for athletes. That's something they maybe haven't experienced before, and it's a bit different and unique compared to other event organisers, which is, of course, what NEP is all about pushing athletes to the limits and creating a unique atmosphere, which we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're obviously quite far apart from the sort of traditional setup that maybe was pre-COVID. So, we got to sort of bridge that gap, and yeah, we've got to sometimes dumb it down a bit, to be able to put on an event officially, if you like. But then over time, we will grow that and change it.
Yeah,
slowly
100%. As you said, it's only our first official event, and we will get the brand out there as not just a training company, but also as an event company. Because at the end of the day, we're two motivated athletes who want to make a difference to the community and offer something different that no one else offers. And I believe we can offer that with the passion that we put in and our work rate as well that we give week in, week out to the community, which I hope people can take grasp of.
Yeah, I think from our differences that we come into it as coaches. So when we see an athlete running around the track, running around our races, we share that experience, if you like, maybe more so than what someone else might. So we don't see it as, we like to have a connection to the athletes that are running around for them, and we like to spread our philosophy. So yeah, we like to keep numbers relatively small, because I want to feel connected to the athlete that's running around. I want to be able to know what they're doing, and I want to share that experience. And if I can't do that, then I feel like that's really not what we're about. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, I don't want to get to the event where we've got thousands and thousands of runners, and it's not about the money at all. It's about creating an electric atmosphere for athletes and also feeling personalised as well. Exactly what you said there, Kieran. You want to have a connection to the athletes because obviously I know some event organisers don't run. Obviously we're two passionate individuals who want to drive athletics to the community through the Northeast, and we understand how people feel on that athletics track, and it's nice to build a relationship with people, just not just create an event but also connect with them and how they did with the event and how the performance matches up with previous performances. So I think it's nice to share that.
Yeah, it's funny because when we get asked questions, I respond as a coach and not as an event organizer.
Exactly, it's a complete different perspective for everyone else.
Yeah, I almost question why they're asking a certain question because I think they should be thinking differently. It's interesting. I think I'm pleased that we are coming from that background and not just solely from an organisation background.
But I really like that people appreciate that and people actually ask us questions, even people who necessarily don't know us ask us questions, even if it's just about training or particular advice. And I love the people that do that, especially the people I don't know. That's obviously quite brave for them to come up. That's fantastic. That's what it's about. It's about learning. And, I'm not saying we're the be all and end all. There's some things that we need to learn as well. But that's what it should be about: supporting each other and creating that atmosphere.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch people's psychology as they're running around, especially in the 5K when you have 12 and a half laps. Obviously, quite a big endurance event on the track. A lot of laps and a lot of mental toughness involved. And seeing people's psychology as they're going around, I'm looking at it from like a coaching standpoint, even if I've never met the athlete before, and you almost want to drive everyone to be the best they can be on that track. It was interesting on Saturday. You could see people who were losing their heads sort of midway through, and you knew how the race was going to turn out. And but then I saw some things where people were turning around, and it was very interesting to watch.
Yeah, especially those 5Ks. I mean, we're three of them, and one of them we knew like 75% of the athletes. But it's interesting because you know what their training structure is like, and you look at other athletes and you don't know what the training structure is like, and they're all running completely different in terms of biomechanically, but also in terms, as you say, mentality. And you can tell who's pushing on and who's struggling in the back, and you can't quite match up who's training who because you don't know certain athletes. So it's really interesting to figure that out, but you can tell who's been doing the right work as to how the performance goes on.
Yeah, I was frustrated not to be coaching some of the athletes out there because I wanted to revise. Like I could see some things that maybe in the lead up might not have been right. It's interesting. Obviously the running community is massive, and we're influenced by lots of different characters. is there any standout performances then? So from the night, so we had 6 mile races and 3 5K races. Was there any standout performances that you'd like to highlight?
That's the individual. I couldn't say anything because I was just so focused on delivering the event. No, I tell you what, it was nice to see Emma Masson from Newcastle. She came down the first time that I've met her, because obviously we do virtual plans as well. And it's the first time I met Emma. She ran fantastically 20:05. She was really happy with that. Corrine, shout out to Corrine Raylan. She ran really well, and she was having a few mental thoughts before the race. And it was fantastic to see her get into the track and blast out a good 5K.
Before 5K.
yeah. Well, she looked very strong. And Helen Hall, great performance in the mile. Great to see Albie and Grace out there on the mile as well. They look very strong, very composed. You can definitely tell those two are progressing through.
You're going too many. I said point out some individual performances. Yeah.
That's the one. How about you?
Well, obviously Mark Lowley winning his mile race was a very good standout performance. Mark Lowley ran a mile PB of 5:30.
The official mile PB.
Yeah, exactly. My mum ran 22:32 for 5K, official 5K PB.
Which is an incredible performance.
It's very good. Definitely where I get my talent from. She'll love that she gets a shout out on this podcast.
It's probably here now.
Adam, Carl running well in the mile, Ben Hudson running well. I think any other standout ones. Trish said today that time is second on the V50 category for 5,000 metres in the UK.
Which is absolutely phenomenal. Exactly, and she's been so focused through training, and she's really throwing herself to everything. She stuck to the plan, so she massively deserves that. And there's only one way she's going to go up. Very focused individual.
Definitely, prove most I was wrong. Yeah, but yeah, great night of many good performances out there. So yeah, mixed feelings at the end of it. From an organisational standpoint, but I think everyone who raced, I think, had a great time. And yeah, looking forward to putting everything we learned into our next event. Next track event and road event anyway, officially licensed one. And we will get thinking on some other ideas. We've got some things in mind in the area. But yeah, our next event, if you like, is going to be the Coast to Coast Challenge in August. So the rematch, it's called.
Rematch
from last year. Obviously we did it last year in September. Yeah, in dramatic fashion. So this year, hoping for a bit of an easier ride. We're doing it over 3 days instead of 2. We're going to do it from the 6th of August until the 8th of August. That's Friday to Sunday. So starting in St. Bees, over in Cumbria, working our way across to Patterdale on the first day, and then over to Richmond at the end of the second day, and then all the way over to Robin Hood's Bay to finish a 190-mile relay. Okay, so we've got 30 legs to choose from. So the way we do it is people come in, they enter, they choose which legs they want to run. We've got a timetable on what each legs are from day to day. You can run one leg, you can run all the legs. You decide, okay? And we do it as a relay. We work out what's best. So you put in your availability, if you like, and what legs you would like to run. Then we work it out and what works as a team effort, okay, running across the country. And we try and grade it on ability as well, and your availability. So quite a lot of organisation from our part, and quite a lot of heroic running from your part, because it's brutal. You go over 3 national parks, the lakes, the dales, and the North York Moors. It does, I would say, get easier as it goes on, if I had to describe it off last year. And don't underestimate the Lake District.
I was going to say that Lake District looks absolute torture, but at the same time, it's probably the most beautiful scenic part of the run. So you pick and choose.
I would say, once you get over the dales, if you like, you're on the home straight, if you like. Although, your Three Sisters and Ingerby Arncliffe climbing and all that. Yeah, it's not easy, but yeah, it's a great way to see the country. And if you're free over that weekend, get involved as much as you can. Okay, there's a standard price to do the whole weekend, or there's a day ticket price if you like to just do one day. Quite affordable for what you get, and there's a great support crew along the way from each leg. You will be supported, A lovely bespoke medal in there as well. I've got some fantastic t-shirt designs coming out from sprinters who supply all of our gear. They do a fantastic job, but they're always good with designs, and I can't wait to see this one. I think I might have some pointers on from last year as well.
Exactly, 100%. And there's a lot to take from last year to take this year. So we changed the structure of the day format first into 3 rather than 2. It's one of our. Is it our first repeated event?
Yes, I guess it is.
Yeah. So it's exciting for us. Obviously the second year doing the coast to coast. It should be really good. I'm looking forward to it. And Jason and Lisa always produce fantastic clothing. Obviously they produce all our range. And the designs are spectacular. So I'm looking forward to see what they produce as well. But yeah, it's a good opportunity for people who maybe haven't done anything like that before to jump in. Some people get a bit nervous and they don't quite enter, but I would encourage you all fully to get involved and, pick a partner that you maybe want to do a leg with, pick somewhere out there that you've never been before and just go for it, challenge yourself. It's not a race, enjoy the views, enjoy the run. And most importantly, bite the bullet and challenge yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. You can make it, a really testing event for yourself, or you can make it just a nice sociable sort of run if you like, or it's part of your Sunday long run. There's lots of opportunities to get involved over 3 days. And yeah, I can't wait for it. We're only 4 weeks away, but not long. And if you do want to do sort of 2 or 3 days on the bounce, then you want to start looking at accommodation. We do have some recommendations that we're putting out. So keep in touch with that. We will keep you updated. Obviously, accommodation is quite limited at the moment. We have a lot of people going on holiday in the Lake District or in the countryside without going abroad. So things are quite limited. So we've got to work that out fairly quickly. But if you're just doing the one day or you're driving back and forth, then obviously you've got a bit more time to look at it. But yeah, speak to us first if you like, before entering, just to make sure if you've got any questions. Obviously, we're here to answer that. We will have a few meetings leading up to it with you guys to sort of talk about how it's going to work and to answer any queries, because obviously it's a very big event and it's quite complicated as well. Okay, but don't let that put you off, because it is absolutely fantastic and you will remember it. I'll never forget last year's.
What happened last year?
Yeah, it was obviously fantastic. But looking forward to that. And then in the mix of all that, we've got a range of events that we're targeting as a club. Northeast Track and Field Championships, 21st and 22nd of August. We hope to take the biggest team there, just like we have in previous competitions this year. We're entering people from the club. We're paying the price for people. You pick your event, you send over your information, and we will enter you for that event. Okay, you must be affiliated to NEP for that to happen. First or second claim. So we've got that. We've got some relays going on. NIMAC relays. We've got the Northeast Championship relays up at Hetton. A 1 mile NIMAC and then 2 mile Hetton. So there's some great opportunities that we'll be putting teams in for as well. So do get involved in that. We've got, obviously next week we've got Yorktown Mile, and then we've got the Sunderland 5K, which is the Northern 5K Road Championships. We've got a few people doing that. We're really trying to push people towards certain events throughout the next 6 weeks. And yeah, there's lots going on really. Of course, there's tons of events each weekend. There's music party training, but certain key events we're picking out that we feel we can have the most impact on and take those lockdown gains into reality.
Yeah, and everyone needs to get behind those Northeastern Championships and events and the Northern
Northeast Project, for goodness sake.
Yeah, exactly. We are the Northeast Project, so it would be silly not to support the Northeast Championships. And I don't think a lot of clubs give it quite the credit it deserves.
Definitely not.
Especially over hundreds of years. So it needs to be supported, not just from Northeast Project, from other people listening to this podcast who aren't part of NEP. You need to support it because it's a fantastic event filled with tradition and culture.
We're both racing, so I'll be doing 5,000 meters. Ben, what are you going to be doing? 1,500?
The steeplechase, not just the 1,500.
1,500. Yeah. Great. We'll be doing it. Looking forward to that. Another chance to race in Middlesbrough. Be sick of it. So that's what's going on. We're not touching on cross country season yet because that's for plenty of other podcasts. We'll be here all day. But on the second part of the podcast, we want to give something educational out to you that you'll find useful, something that maybe explains our coaching style, something that you might gain from us if you're not being actively coached by us, but you want to use in your own training. Of course, this podcast is going out there everywhere for everyone to listen to. So our topic is on ups and downs and when you know you're going to get a breakthrough. So as athletes, we're always looking for that leap forward into a breakthrough. It's what drives us to work hard, right? So we're working hard for a result and we all want a breakthrough. Now, problem is with breakthroughs, the fitter you get, the harder it is to get those breakthroughs. And the more you got to change in your training to get a breakthrough. Naturally, sometimes breakthroughs happen unexpectedly, and that is the best way to have a breakthrough when you're not expecting one. But there's always normally an underlying factor that explains that. So yeah, we're just going to talk a little bit for the next sort of 10-15 minutes about maybe some previous breakthroughs we've had in the past. Obviously we're quite young, so for the last 10 years since we've both been running, we've probably had quite a good progression year on year. So yeah, Ben, let's talk about, have you had any breakthroughs in the past? And could you sort of explain maybe why you had a breakthrough in the past?
Yeah, so I've had a few breakthroughs. The one that pops up for me was 2017, 2018, through my fishing intermediate season, where I was racing like say 2 times a month around at Chester Street and BMCs. I was progressively getting faster and faster in every single one. I was running some of the best times of my life and managed to get down to 4:2 at Chester Street. I couldn't quite jump under the sub 4 minute mark. So that's something that's been bugging me for the last few years. But I think that sort of period, I mean, the first thing I've got to admit is the consistency 100%. And to be able to progress as an athlete and an individual, you can't expect to see progress over a week of training, especially as the fitter you get, it's harder to break through. So you can't expect to get fitter just from 1 week of training. You've got to keep consistent with that training over a 4-week period, over an 8-week period, over a 12-week period, which you then start to see consistency. And obviously there's little gaps in those 12 weeks where you get sessions where you maybe fall apart, or maybe that you dip down in terms of performance due to fatigue or due to the training week. So I think that's a massive part of it, staying consistent, and also believing in what you're doing and the plan that you've set. Because I think a lot of people, when sometimes maybe it's not quite going their way for one reason or another, they do sort of track away from the plan and start following other things, maybe searching specific general articles on topics and information, which has no relevance to them whatsoever. So I think for me, for that sort of period, it was definitely consistency. But before I started doing the extra 1%, making sure I was doing the 99% right, to make sure I had the majority thing right before I started on little things in and around that, which for me was the strength and conditioning and the explosive movements and the bigger weights, which then got me down from the 415s to the 47s, the 45s, the 42s. So yeah, and that was the end of the season for me, hitting 4:2, transitioning to cross country season. So who knows, if I had a month or so, maybe more, I might have dipped under there. But that was my sort of experience. How about yourself, Kim?
Just going back to your point, so I joined, I was there for that season when you're doing that. I think if I remember rightly, you ran that 4:2 in August, right?
Chesley Street, yeah.
Was it August time? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've had 4 months of quite specific mile pace, 1500 meter pace training. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 times a week of like high quality sessions, specifically in the mile pace.
Yeah. I started at 4:15 in April.
So it was first race. Yeah.
First race, 4:15.
Yeah. Yes, you progressed through races as well. Yes, that's an interesting point, isn't it? And obviously, that wasn't at the start of the season; that was at the very end, almost like a peak, if you like. So yeah, I remember you training with you then, and I remember a lot of the workouts as well, and they were very, very, very tough. The mile pace stuff we did. At the time, were you doing any sort of anything change in your training dramatically throughout that summer? It hasn't changed before. So did you introduce a new training concept, or did something change? I guess obviously older as well. Obviously, it helps throughout our ages.
Yeah. So I think that sort of year was the year where, in terms of what's the word I'm looking for, like biologically, in terms of puberty and stuff, I started started to hit that in that sort of
Who's the
period.
hairs on your chest?
Yeah, without saying that, yeah. So I saw embarrassing. I saw a massive difference in that. And to be honest, I didn't stop growing until I was like 19, 20, like only the last 6 months where I've stopped growing. And it's actually another point which I won't go into too much about people, especially lads, growing in that sort of 15, 16, 17 age group. And I saw a massive difference. I was able to do a lot more in that sort of period. So through like May, June, July, I started adding a lot more plyometrics into my training, which ultimately made me a lot sharper. I was only doing it once a week because I was doing like 50 miles for the week, so 2 high quality sessions at mile pace, 3K pace sort of efforts around the track. But adding in those plyometrics on a Monday night with the lads, just gave me that a little bit more explosiveness and sharpness that I wasn't quite doing before. I hit June and I ran 3 4.7s in a row. And I saw it was stuck at the 4.7 mark, and then I added the plyometrics in, and I got down to 4.3, 4.2. I ran 2 of those races at 4.3, 4.2. And then sadly the season ended, and I just couldn't quite dip into the line. So I think when you see that sort of plateau in performance with the training volume that you're doing, it's time to change it up and add something else that maybe you weren't doing before, and it gives you that little bit more quality. Especially for an important race like 1500 that relies so heavily on seconds and milliseconds.
Yeah, very true. Good point. Plyometrics, sticking at it, consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is a hard thing for me at the time because I was very injury prone. So plyometrics for me was something I couldn't do very often, but something that I took maybe 10 minutes to do on a Monday, and it just gave me that sharpness and that explosiveness to drive forward, which I really saw an improvement in my speed, especially last 600 when I was starting to feel the effects.
Yeah, it was a good training group at the time. I think it was a good environment to be working hard. If you weren't working hard, then yeah, you wouldn't be there. So it was a good environment to get the best out of it as well.
Yeah,
which I think matters just as much as anything, any science or any coaching philosophy. If you haven't got the right environment, then you're going to fail, So you've got to get your environment right.
Yeah, for those who don't know, if you obviously train for Mandel, and that sort of part of season with Martin Pivo and some very extremely talented lads there, great coach. That was a great sort of period to push my training there, and I've really enjoyed pushing down the 4.2. With a lot of lads similar age, and they were pushing me on. Obviously, you as well, Kay. I remember that 20 times 400 meter session and 6 recovery in the summer. I mean, those are the sessions that really build you up, not just physically but mentally as well. And there's a lot of comparison with that in terms of marathon specific workouts, that sometimes it's not actually the physical side, it's more the mental challenge of being able to run specific amount of miles at marathon pace, and everything else around that sort of just falls in quite nice because mentally becomes much easier. If you can run 12 miles at marathon pace, for example, that's one key tough hard session, which everything around that feels much easier, and you become mentally stronger from that.
I feel like that on Wednesday.
Well, yeah, you must be experienced like you. I see you're doing a lot of volume at the moment, as you say, like back-to-back 100-mile weeks you're targeting this week. And you've done that in the past, which you've reacted well to some weeks, and some weeks you haven't. And I think, doing the marathon specific workouts with a high volume, that really does build you as a person, but also as an athlete.
Yeah, I mean, just get back in the last 3 or 4 weeks, getting the marathon pace stuff in there, which for me has been a big impact, breakthrough impact. I think the biggest gain from it is the mental strength aspect of it, without a doubt. To tackle everything really. I mean, when you can do a marathon pace workout for an hour and a half, it makes you tough, makes you really tough, and everything is very easier.
Yeah. So how about you, Kieran, in terms of breakthroughs? Obviously you're talking about ups and downs. What breakthroughs have you had in the past, and B, how have you dealt with the downs to make sure that the next following weeks and months are turned into ups?
Yeah. Year on year, I sort of had a good progression from the age of 11 until probably last year. Until the marathon block up to April. I would say I had a year on year progression.
Mm-hmm.
So things have been quite steadily progressing quite well. Our biggest breakthrough was in, I should have a picture of it. I've got a picture. The national cross country. in a centre field there.
Show it to the camera.
There's me running up Palmer Hill on a hot day in February. It's back there this year, actually, isn't it? And that was in, what year was that? 2018. I don't know, tall enough. That was 2018. That was the biggest breakthrough. So I came 28th in the National Cross Country Championships as a top age under 20. That was a big breakthrough for me. So in the past, I'd come sort of 100th, 120th every year. So I'd come in the top 30 in the national on a tough course. That for me was a big thing. And the biggest difference was more for me at the time. It was more miles. So I went from running probably 50, 55 miles a week to running 70 to 80 miles a week. And I would say that is the biggest jump is definitely from 50 to 70 or 80. Not so much so from 80 to 100. That was a definite easy breakthrough. All the paces dropped just by simply running more. My sessions, because I could run more, my sessions got bigger. So instead of doing 6 times a K, I could do 10 times a K. At the same pace, just hold it longer if you like. So the volume definitely helped in all the other workouts. Quite a brutal winter at the time as well, so I was running in the snow every day. Great for cross country. That was one aspect. Strength conditioning, I brought strength conditioning at that time as well. So I was getting up to sort of what age was I? 17, 18, only 18 years old. So just getting into sort of the weights, if you like, introducing heavy squats, heavy deadlifts, all that stuff, and really using strength conditioning as a performance improvement and not just an injury prevention mechanism. I think that was a big step forward. And it was progressing my S&C, so increasing my squats from 40 to 60 to 80 kilograms, and that made me faster, stronger, and be able to run faster for longer. So that was a big point. And I guess in more recent times, other breakthroughs, when I joined Muslim Mandale, I had a training group, so environment change. I went from training solo, Sedgefield, to training with a group. And that was an instant minute off my 10K, if you like, over the season. So I went from running, when I run 32 30s to running 31:10 for 10K in a year. So that was a good progression, a big step to take off there. Just from training with the right group. So bigger sessions, but I could work harder for longer by having others around me. So yeah, that was another thing. And then more recently would have been running all day, every day throughout lockdown, coaching, running around all day, jogging, drills, doing ridiculous amount of miles, building a massive base, and then throwing on some crazy long tempos, and all these virtual stuff we did. So I would say the volume went up again, if you like. Hence why I started to run things like 29s for 10Ks, time trials. So not officially, but I ran around 29 minutes on a watch. So
but you don't need officially. You don't need an official time to tell you that.
67 minutes for a half marathon, feeling strong as anything. That for me was an amazing progression, and really gives us some belief of what I'm capable of. Whether that work is sustainable, I'm not sure. I think it could be done better. I think there's a lot of junk miles in there. I think we discussed in the last podcast, but sheer volumes always worked for me well, and a lot of work at tempo pace and my strength conditioning. So if I focus on those three, things do tend to come into play much better.
Do you think that's what it is when, like, maybe you've had a not a very good week? You sort of reflect back on what you maybe could have changed and improved, and then you've adapted that into future weeks to make sure that you're ups.
Yeah, well, in terms of week from week.
Yeah, just in terms of, like, say if you had a few down weeks, like, you sort of look back and review and analyze what maybe you could have done better or what you could change, or is it a case if you try something out and you maybe don't know if it works? So.
Well, I would say personally, my coaching philosophy has been built on trial and error over 12 years of training, and knowledge I've gained from university and reading, of course. But I think majority of it is trial and error, and there's been a lot of trial and error in the especially last 6 months. It's been fantastic to learn, how your body works, and for me, worst period was the last 2 months, so I've learned a lot from that. But yeah, it's important to keep learning, because the more you learn, the more you realise you don't know, and yeah, you gotta keep at it.
Yeah, I was sorry to recommend for people who maybe don't read or don't quite have the education in terms of running to go out there and have a look on podcasts or ebooks or books or anything that's proved by scientists and runners in the past, or even autobiographies and those sort of stuff really do help. I mean, I've got hundreds of books in the corner there. Sadly, I've only read a few because I've just been so busy lately. But with the few I've read, even just previous athletes, I read Charlie Spedden's book, which was fantastic as he prepared for the marathon and the Olympics when he won bronze. I mean, it's amazing, brilliant work. And it's nice to see other athletes' experience and how they sort of relate to their training. So yeah, thoroughly recommend reading other people's experiences, but also the science behind running.
Yeah, that's one thing actually. When I was a teenager, I was obsessed at looking at elites training. Like, I would read as many training diaries as possible from every runner that ever has been, or any top runner there was. I was obsessed by that, and I would do it for years, and I would do it almost every week. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be gained, and even if they're training something, training's not very good, I think there's something to be learned from it. But yeah, I used to always look at training diaries from people. I think it's good to
I think that's important, not to copy them, but just to look what other people are doing. And I'm not saying go on Strava and look at different people from different clubs, but like the elite athletes who have wrote about it and just explain about what they do and how it benefited them. That's really important to gain that experience and that knowledge from other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the reasons of setting this up was because I wish when I was a kid that I had something like this to be able to get experience from and share an experience with, if you like.
As in, like, sort of fill in your previous past with what you've created. Yeah.
If you like, like when my coach wasn't available, it was probably how they feel with me when I don't respond to messages or whatever. Like, it was nice to share an experience with other runners who are similar or who I want to be like, just to share your sort of progression with and ask questions. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Which I feel really people don't ask us enough why they're doing something. Where is this leading? What's the point of turning up to this? What am I doing this for? I think people should ask more of that. There's a lot to be learned, and it might explain, where your next breakthrough might be coming from.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to learn, not just from us telling you what to do, but also yourself telling yourself what to do. I think that's really important. The accountability and having the knowledge of not just what you're doing, but why you're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, breakthroughs. I guess we've explained the breakthroughs that have happened in the past. It'd be even better to be able to predict a breakthrough in the future. Yeah, you're gonna have a breakthrough next week, then.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think for me, as you say, I mean, it's exactly what you've just said there, Kieran, about looking at the past and seeing what you've done well and sticking to what you know is right in the past. It's something that I'll definitely build. And I mean, I've made I've made plenty of mistakes in the past, but I think that's what makes me as an athlete, and that's what I can learn on going forward into the next 15, 20 years of my prime running, and say that I'm not going to make those mistakes again, and this is what I'm going to do to change forward. And that's really important to go through that cycle. And there'll be many years, of course, where me and you will both make mistakes, and hundreds of other athletes will make mistakes, but it's about how you react to that and what you change to be able to make sure that never happens ever again. And as you start to add them up and you eliminate more and more possibilities of things that could go wrong or things that maybe haven't worked in the past, then you build a structure and a foundation that works for you specifically. And if you stick with that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the results every week. And then when you start building that consistency together, that's when you become a top athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those who don't have the experiences of the past, maybe just starting out or only being involved in the sport a year or two, then just keep learning and enjoy the process. And yeah, stick in it, show up every day, be consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to have someone to share the journey with and ask questions. And whether you are part of NEP Project and you've got Kieran or myself to be able to do that with, or you're a part of another club and you've got a coach, or maybe you feel like your coach isn't support enough, you need to find someone to share the journey with and ask questions, because at the end of the day, you need to be able to share your your knowledge, and then you get someone else's opinion as well. Your opinion may not always be right, and someone else's opinion is sometimes fantastic to be able to change your theory and go, you know, maybe this isn't right. Maybe this is what I need to change. So it's always good to get a second opinion, which is why I would say read other people's autobiographies and what they've done, and what support they've had during that training period.
Absolutely. Some really good points raised there in our little topic on breakthroughs and the ups and downs of training cycles. So our next podcast will be likely after the Yorktown Marathon, the Northern 5K Championships, and both our birthdays as well. That's next week.
You are 23.
Yes, I'm getting old now.
He's an old man.
And Ben is the 21, big 21 coming up.
The big 2-1. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, we're adults now, Ben. We better start acting like it.
21. Jeez, don't feel like 21.
Yeah, I don't feel like 23. Yeah, I still feel like that 18-year-old running a Parliament Hill. Yeah.
Still that 18-year-old.
Yeah, this job's aged as well, wasn't it?
You'll have great hairs by next year.
Yeah. Plenty of fun to be had. What an exciting few months we have coming up. Thank you for listening, everyone. We're going to get some sleep and get ready for tomorrow's action-packed day. But until next time, you got anything to say, Ben, for listeners?
No, I've just been saying, I've been staring at your window for the last hour. It's just got darker and darker. Yeah. I'm looking now, and it's just pitch black.
Yeah, it's actually coaching time in a couple of hours, isn't it?
Yeah, you're up in 3 hours.
Yeah. Sorry, Ian. Yeah.
No sleep for the wicked.
Until next time, everyone. Thank you for listening. I hope this has helped you get through a run, maybe, or a car journey into work, or maybe just helped you out on your long run to pass those miles.
Exactly.
I hope you've learned something. Okay. And yeah, all the best for the next week or two. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Thanks, guys. If you listen to us on long run now, keep it up. You're doing great. You've only got a few miles to go.
Yeah, well done.
Great work, guys. Well, I'll see you in the next podcast and over the next few months of what we've got exciting planned. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.